All right, hey guys, my name's Lolita, and I am one of the founders, I guess you could say, of After the Meeting. And through all of our recording, we realized we don't have our story out, and that's really important, right? Because what you see isn't what it always was with Leah, Ashley, and myself. Um, it's taken a lot of lessons and painful lessons to get where we are today. So it is really my mission to share my experience of what I've been through and all the hardship that I've gone through with my addiction, and really shed some light on recovery, that it is possible and you can attain a life beyond your wildest dreams if you really just give yourself a chance. So I'm going to try to condense it because I can really ramble. Anybody that knows me knows that I can talk. Okay. So I'll just give you a brief history, what it was like, and then kind of what happened and what brought me to recovery and what my life is like today, because it's awesome. Okay, so I am 32 years old. I'm born and raised from Florida, and I am the oldest of 3 children. I was raised with a single mom, and I was raised in a family completely riddled with addiction and alcoholism, suicide, depression, any form of mental illness, really, you name it. Like, my family has it on both sides, right? My mom's side and my dad's side. So growing up, I think a lot of the common theme with us addicts is that feeling different, right? And I did feel different. I felt out of place. I felt like I couldn't really fit in with people. And, hindsight, I really think it was because of what my life was like at home, my early years, like grade school years, was pretty normal up until about the 3rd or 4th grade. I had a pretty traumatic event happen. And that night, my life really changed, right? My mother's addiction really spiraled out of control. So naturally, we were affected by that 100%, my sisters and I. And it was a constant back and forth between my grandparents' house and my mother's house, no stability, a lot of neglect, emotional neglect, abandonment. I really suffered a lot with anxious attachment as I grew older in my intimate relationships and even with my friends. And through step work, I was able to really uncover all of that and really work through that. So a lot of trauma, right? I think we can all kind of relate there. A lot of trauma. First rehab at 15. I've been marked and acted like 8 or 9 times. First arrest at 15. So I was really in and out of the jail judicial system. And I was in that cycle. Now, one thing that I do want to say, sorry, I got text coming on my phone. One thing that I do want to say is getting caught like in the cycle of the judicial system. I know for me, it's a cycle that you can really get out of if you decide to just follow the damn law. Follow the law, do what you're asked to do, and what do you know? Like, you're not in fucking trouble, So, let me back up. Okay, so I really want to get authentic in this because the point is to connect with someone that has a similar story like mine. So I really don't want to leave all the icky stuff out, as much as I know I'm putting this out on social media. So like maybe not everybody in recovery is going to see this, but I'm really hoping that someone can really connect with this and say, okay, you know what? She did it. She made it through. It's possible for me too, because it is. It really is. So using while pregnant is a huge part of my story. And I got pregnant at 22 with my oldest son, which he's in the background, by the way, playing Fortnite. So if you hear any sudden bursts or outbursts, he's raging, right? So I used, and I was 22, and by this point I had been to a million treatment centers, all that, was not interested in getting clean, was not interested in any of that. And I couldn't stop. And I used all the way up until delivery. And DCF was called, obviously, and they said, okay, if you don't get your shit together, then we're going to take your kid from you. So I went to treatment, and it was my first voluntary inpatient, not my first inpatient, my first voluntary inpatient that I had gone to. And it was actually the first treatment center that I really even completed successfully, because I'm a runner. I was running, very rebellious, flippant. Shout out to my sponsor, McKinsey, okay? Very flippant, very rebellious, very like F you to authority, and just took absolutely no responsibility for my actions, really is what it comes down to. Very ego-driven, very entitled, very self-serving, okay? No compassion, manipulative, all of those things. So I tried to give it a try. I said, okay, I have a kid. I really have to do something different. And it just wasn't clicking for me. And I wasn't ready, and I hadn't hit my bottom yet. So I repeated this cycle all the way up until 25. And I decided to really get clean. So I got clean at 25, did the deal, had sponsees, was doing service, all of that. I know now that I wasn't 100% honest in my first step, right? So see, what I've learned is that the disease of addiction will slip us up. We will think that we are doing everything that we need to do, and if we're not working an honest and thorough program, no matter how much time we have, I promise you, your disease will show back up, and you will put yourself in a position to relapse. And I say put yourself in a position to relapse because you are the only person in control of your recovery. No person, place, or thing is gonna fix you, not your children, not your mother, not your job, not shit, okay? If you are not 100% taking responsibility for your actions and for every situation and circumstance and how you react to that and how you decide to hold yourself accountable in your reactions with people, then you're not in a good position, okay? I really don't recommend it. So I wasn't really working a thorough first step, even years into recovery. And I had reservations pop up. I didn't share about it. And next thing you know, here I am. And I had a lot of yets. Prison was a yet for me. Death obviously was a yet for me. I didn't have my children removed from, child services. That was a yet for me. And crime, right? I had a lot of yets, okay? So I found myself 2 years later into a relapse with absolutely no contact with my children, pregnant with yet another child, okay? And I was clear across the United States. So my oldest son's father had OD'd, and this was like my catalyst. This was like the moment for me. I had this epiphany that if I didn't get my shit together, that I was gonna die and leave my children motherless and want my eldest son parentless, okay? And so I did the deal. I knew what I had to do, and thank God. And I got myself together on a Greyhound bus all the way from Las Vegas, okay, with no cell phone. And it was a horrific ride. It was, I was literally, you guys, like in a state, who knows where I was, in the middle of the United States, thinking this was a bad idea. I should just get off the bus and figure out, because I was that far into my disease. So fast forward, okay? So my clean date is August 27th, 2016. So, man, my life is blossoming into something that I could have never imagined. And I'm in a place now of gratitude for my experience, because I'm choosing to use that as my strength to help other people, because that's what it's really all about at the end of the day is, how can we serve others and how can we be a beacon of light and hope in the world? And I'm gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry, okay? It's just really emotional for me because that's a gift, that I've been given in recovery, is compassion. That was something that I lacked so deep to my core, through my trauma as a child, and really learning to disconnect from people at such a young age because I was in a lot of pain, and I thought, you know what, if I can just not care about other people and disconnect myself off from people, disassociate, then I was completely in survival mode, right? And that's how I lived, and through really getting honest in my step work and getting honest with my resentments and really getting just getting honest and looking and facing my fears about myself, I've been able to really rise like a phoenix out of the ashes, right? But it's true. A little cliche, but it's true. I started a business, with my fiance, and that was incredible, So I guess the point is I've used my downfalls, right? Like I have a record, I'm unemployable, like all these things, I kind of use those things to my advantage, and I push myself, and I am so capable, I am so capable of achieving anything that I want, and that's what I really want to share with you guys is it does not matter the circumstances that you've been through, whether you put yourself in those circumstances or not. Like, you do not have to let that define you, and you don't have to let it hold you down or weigh you down, because we have today and we have the rest of our lives to really decide how we're going to make an impact and how we're going to live our lives, and today I choose to live in peace, and I choose to live with an optimistic point of view always, because I should be dead. Those are just facts. I should be dead, and I should not have access to my children. All of these things that I took for granted, I now understand are a privilege. My life is a privilege. The opportunity to parent is a privilege. The opportunity to hold relationships and give advice and give encouragement and inspire other people, like that's a privilege, and I really hold that. I'm trying not to cry because it's coming up. Really hold that dear, to my heart. And it's important, the example that I set for my kids, because I'm in it to break generational curses, you guys. Like, the sickness in my family fucking runs deep, okay? And it's up to me to decide what I'm gonna allow and what I'm gonna allow my children to go through, and pave the way for my children's children and hopefully their children, because it starts at home, and it starts with healthy habits and healthy boundaries, and it starts with coming from a place of love and compassion and understanding, and really pushing yourself and walking through the uncomfortability and walking through the things that you don't want to walk through. Because if you look at your circumstance and you're not happy with your circumstance, you're to blame. You really are. Okay? Some people might not like that I'm saying that, but it's just truth. And the sooner that you can take ownership of that, the sooner you have an opportunity to make some changes for your damn life. Okay? So that's my stance, and standing in that has given me so much power to make a difference. I have peace in my home. I have love in my home. I have love in my spirit. I have peace in my spirit, like that core issue of why I'm even an addict and what drove me to filling that void. It's a God thing, you guys. It's a God thing. And you can clean, you work steps, and you clean all that stuff out, and you make room for God, and you fill that hole with God. And then you are able to be used as a messenger. You are able to have the guidance and be led by God to make a difference and make an impact. And so that's what it's all about. So I really hope someone connected with this, and I really hope that someone was inspired to, maybe do something different in their life, or perhaps stop using, or whatever it is. So that's it. I love you guys. And yeah.